Hi, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. We are back with the glossary of legal terms. The first phrase today is judge pro tempore. A judge pro tempore is a temporary judge appointed to serve when a regular judge is unavailable. They may be a retired judge, lawyer, or other qualified individual approved by the court system. Their authority is limited to the period of appointment and a specific case assigned. This system ensures continuity of judicial processes without unnecessary delays. They are commonly used to address case backlogs or judicial absences. The next word is codicil. A codicil is a legal document that modifies, adds to, or revokes part of an existing will. It allows a person to update the testamentary intentions without writing a new will entirely. Codicils must follow the same legal formalities as wills, including witness requirements. They are often used for minor changes like updating beneficiaries or executors. Proper drafting is crucial to avoid conflicts or misinterpretations after death. The next phrase is habitual offender. A habitual offender is a person repeatedly convicted of crimes. Laws may impose enhanced penalties for repeat offenses. The designation aims to deter chronic criminal behavior. Some jurisdictions use three strikes rules for mandatory sentencing. Critics argue it may lead to disproportionate punishment. The next phrase is legal action. Legal action is a formal process of asserting a right or seeking remedy through the courts or other judicial bodies. It may include filing a lawsuit, petition, or complaint. Legal action allows parties to enforce contracts, recover damages, or challenge unlawful acts. It follows specific procedural rules to ensure fairness. Failure to take timely legal action can result in loss of rights due to limitation periods. The next phrase is extraordinary rendition. Extraordinary rendition is the transfer of a person from one country to another, often secretly, outside the normal extradition process. It is usually used for intelligence or counter-terrorism purposes. The practice has been criticized for bypassing legal safeguards and exposing detainees to torture or indefinite detention. It raises significant human rights and international law concerns. Its legality depends on domestic and international standards of due process. The next phrase is personal property. Personal property refers to movable assets that are not land or buildings. It includes items like cars, jewelry, furniture, and intellectual property. Personal property can be tangible or intangible. The law regulates transfer, sale, and protection of such property. It is distinct from real property, which deals with the land and immovable structures. The next term is refinancing. Refinancing means replacing an existing loan with a new one, usually with better terms. Borrowers refinance to lower interest rates, reduce monthly payments, or change loan duration. It may also be used to consolidate debt. Refinancing involves paying off the original loan and entering a new agreement. It is common in mortgage, business, personal finance contexts. The next phrase is wrongful prosecution. Wrongful prosecution occurs when an individual is prosecuted without a sufficient legal basis or probable cause. It is considered an abuse of the criminal justice system. The accused may later seek damages through a civil suit for malicious prosecution. This concept protects citizens from harassment and a misuse of state power. Courts assess the prosecutor's intent, evidence, and a conduct before granting remedies. The next phrase is law of armed conflict. The law of armed conflict, also known as international humanitarian law, sets legal rules governing warfare. Its purpose is to limit suffering, protect civilians, and regulate means and methods of combat. It includes conventions on treatment of prisoners, medical aid, and a prohibition of certain weapons. Violations such as war crimes invite international accountability. Its scope balances military necessity with the humanitarian principles in both international and non-international armed conflicts. The next phrase is zoning modification. A zoning modification is a formal change or adjustment to an existing zoning regulation or requirement. It allows property owners to seek relief from strict complaints when unique circumstances exist. Modifications can include setbacks, building heights, parking requirements, or use classification. Approval is usually granted by zoning boards or planning commissions after public hearings. The process ensures flexibility while balancing individual rights and community welfare. The next phrase is reformatio in paius. Reformatio in paius is a legal principle that prohibits a higher court from making a worse decision for the appealing party than what was decided by the lower court. It protects appellates from being penalized for seeking a review. This rule encourages fair appeals. Some systems allow exceptions, particularly when cross appeals are filed. It promotes confidence in the appellate process. The next phrase is halfway house. A halfway house is a residential facility that supports individuals transitioning from prison, rehab, or institutional care to independent living. It provides counseling, job training, and supervision. Its goal is to reduce recidivism and promote social reintegration. Rules are less restrictive than prisons but maintain accountability. They are key in rehabilitation systems. The next phrase is gross negligence. Gross negligence is a severe form of carelessness that shows a reckless disregard for the safety or rights of others. It goes beyond the ordinary negligence by implying an extreme lack of caution. Courts often require a higher burden of proof for gross negligence. It can lead to punitive damages in civil cases. This concept is common in tort law, medical malpractice, and product liability cases. The next phrase is ex-service agreement. An ex-service agreement refers to a contract that outlines the terms and conditions of a specific type of service provided between parties. It may be used as a placeholder term for specialized or cross-industry services. Such agreements clearly define rights, obligations, payment, and dispute resolution. They are legally binding once signed by both parties. Failure to comply can result in breach of contract claims. The next term is coercion. Coercion is the act of compelling someone to act against the will by using force, threats, or intimidation. It undermines voluntary consent, making agreements obtained under coercion legally voidable. Coercion can occur in contracts, confessions, or personal relationships. Laws aim to protect individuals from being forced into harmful or unfair situations. It is both a legal and ethical violation in most systems. The next phrase is extrinsic evidence. Extrinsic evidence is information or material that comes from outside a written document or record. Courts use it to clarify ambiguous terms, establish intent, or provide context. It cannot contradict a clear and a complete written agreement under the parole evidence rules. It is often used in a contract disputes, bill interpretation, and fraud cases. Its admissibility depends on relevance and necessity. The next term is reformation. Reformation is the equitable remedy that allows a court to rewrite a written contract or reflect the true agreement between parties. It is granted when a mistake, fraud, or misinterpretation has distorted the written terms. Reformation does not create a new contract, but it corrects the existing one. Parties seeking reformation must show clear and convincing evidence. It ensures fairness by aligning legal documents with the original intent. The next term is fact-finding. Fact-finding is the process of determining the truth of disputed facts in a legal or administrative proceeding. It may be done by judges, juries, arbitrators, or commissions. The process involves examining evidence, hearing witnesses, and weighing credibility. Accurate fact-finding is essential to fair decisions and justice delivery. It forms the foundation for applying the law to a case. The next phrase is lump sum. A lump sum refers to a single payment made at one time rather than through multiple installments. It is commonly used in contracts, settlements, or insurance payouts where one full amount is given to settle an obligation. Lump sum payments can benefit the receiver by providing immediate liquidity. However, they can also create a tax burden depending on the nature of the payment. In a legal and financial context, it contrasts with the periodic or recurring payments. The next phrase is judicial activism. Judicial activism is a philosophy where judges interpret laws and constitutions more broadly, often expanding rights or filling legislative gaps. It is associated with decisions that appear to create new legal principles rather than strictly applying existing law. Critics argue that it undermines separation of powers, while supporters see it as essential for advancing justice and protecting rights. Judicial activism often arises in cases involving civil rights, social justice, or constitutional interpretation. Its scope varies depending on judicial philosophy, political climate, and societal needs.